why did we choose Trauma Cupcakes for our podcast name?
Well, my question is for Ryan, right? Because he's spending all this time trying to do the audio stuff, right? Like you set it up specifically for yourself. Did you do that with Zell in the room? Like, did you need her there?
No.
Okay, so
But there are times that it was required.
was it required because of like you mentally needing her, or just like you needed her assistance? Because
Assistance.
okay, so for like me, I'm trying to set up the OBS and the Elgato and all that stuff. I know how to do it, but because it's incredibly boring to me, I have to have Leanne in the room. I just need like a body double.
Yep.
Just someone to be there with me.
But you know what? That's more of an ADHD thing, like what you and me have.
I usually do it when I'm alone.
Huh?
I usually do it when I'm alone.
Yeah.
And I can concentrate on the precise sounds.
I don't.
Yeah, I'm in both of those camps because like I want her here, but I don't want her to say anything. I need her to stand
Be
there
here, but be
quietly.
silent.
Yes, that's exactly what I want you to be a statue, but I need you to be in the room. Otherwise, this will never get done. Especially because like I need like someone to bounce off of, like just to say words at. But I don't want her to talk because I know her opinion is going to be wrong. It's not like her fault. It's just the way my head is working in that situation.
It's like an accountability partner.
Yeah,
A silent accountability partner.
Yeah, very silent. Yeah, because as soon as something goes wrong, yeah, as soon as something goes wrong, I can just be like, "Why doesn't this fucking work?" And then she starts talking. It's like, "No, I don't. You're gonna ruin everything. I just want you here."
I wasn't talking to you.
Exactly. So I was just curious how that was working for you, because that's how my head goes for a lot of things.
It's so horrible, but that's how I am with, like, if it's something that I put off forever, I will finally do it if somebody's there.
It's like a low dopamine task. If it's a low dopamine task, I need her there because I just need something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I need her there. Like cooking. Like I love cooking, but if it's a normal food that I like, whatever, I need her there because I'm just like, I don't care. But if it's like I just made fajitas, I was stoked. Did it all by myself because I didn't, I was dopamined up.
Do you think anything has to do with, like, a low-key need for validation at all?
Oh, 100%. I know for me, for 100%, yeah.
Because for me, I've always had this feeling of, like, guilt. And when somebody's there, it's almost like they witness that, in fact, I do stuff. It's, yeah. I'm not a lazy SOB. I actually do stuff.
There's plenty of, like, I mean, my platinum hunting is a great example of constantly needing validation. It's like, oh man, you must really like getting platinums, 255, that's crazy. No, I hate myself. I just want someone else to tell me I did a good job because I didn't grow up with anybody who wanted to tell me that. Like, it's really as simple as that, but yeah, it becomes a problem. Especially when you're going for like a platinum that's like super crappy and you're like, the dopamine isn't hitting, why do I do this? I'm going into bad places now. Then you just start looking for the next game, and it just becomes a whole thing.
Yeah.
Or on the other end of the spectrum is I'll platinum a game, and I don't have anything planned, which I need something planned for the next one. And if I don't, I get into like a really bad mood. Because I start stressing. I'm like, where's the next dopamine hit? Like, when's the next, Like, I need to have that planned.
So for like you, Ryan, when you play WoW, you were a rogue. Well, you are a rogue, and you're extremely good at it. Is it just purely out of enjoying to play the game, or is there some sort of dopamine hit you get from that as well?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. The stealth and maneuvering around, being able to pick and choose targets, especially in like solo play or small dungeons. That was always fun. And then just the way the class plays is enjoyable. There were a few phases in the development, like around Cataclysm and that, where they kind of killed the rogue. And when they started giving them guns in the first bit there, they ruined it. But then it came full circle again with the current state of retail.
So if you're willing to dig a little deeper about it, you strive to be top DPS. I guess what I'm saying is there a reason why you felt like you always wanted to be number one? Was it...
Well, outside of solo play, requiring a group means that the whole group has to achieve the goal. If I could make my character do top DPS as efficiently as possible, with all upgrades and whatever else, then it means that the whole team would achieve the goal quicker, cleaner. So if we all achieved that kind of efficiency, things just died. We got through the content and it wasn't even an issue. But if I was the only one doing it, sometimes I would feel like I'm carrying the group. And this even includes in the 40-man raids, when I would sometimes have a clear 4 to 7% DPS lead. And I wasn't even in full tier gear. So I'm like, is everybody pulling their weight? And it wasn't out of a selfish need to get loot either. It was just wanting to get the content down. A lot of times I would freely sacrifice some of the gear that was coming out to the lower DPS because they needed it. For the whole team to work efficiently, one person can't do it. And then with juggling threat before things like Tricks of the Trade came out, the lower DPS really should have had the gear, not me. Because I would have generated so much threat, I would have pulled it, and I would be having to pop things to drop the threat just to survive. Where with the low DPS bidding pushed up higher, we were able to achieve more overall. And then if I died by AoE, disconnection, whatever it might have been, then being top DPS, the whole thing would just wipe. We'd be done. And that's not fair for everybody. Right? So as long as we were all working to achieve our goal, it worked out well.
How about you, John? You mentioned that you didn't know how to play. Well, not you didn't know how to play, but
No. You're on the right boat. I told my wife last night when we were doing raids, I was playing a DPS. I have no idea how this game functions as anything but a tank. I just don't understand any of it when people are like, "Oh, walk out of that." I'm like, "Why? I'll just get healed." Or we were doing a quest where the cave was on fire, and she's like, "Oh, you gotta grab the bucket of water to put the fire." I'm like, "Why? I'll just walk through it and heal myself when I get into the next fight." And she's like, "What?" And then I died. And I was like, "What? I don't understand." And she's like, "Yeah, you don't have 1,000,000 health." I'm like, so I don't get it.
is there a reason? I mean, not many people would choose to be a tank. Do you think there is like a particular group of individuals individuals winning that appeals to, like being a tank appeals to? Is there a reason why you like playing tank above another class?
Well, as far as class goes, because I've played all the tanks, it's just there's certain tanks in game that I don't like playing, like Brewmaster, but the role itself I prefer, because probably a combination of issues, right? Like, I don't really like being told what to do. I don't handle that very well. So I find it way easier to just tell people what to do or make people follow me and just drag them along. Two, I don't care. Like Ryan was saying, like he wants to be, he doesn't necessarily want to be number one DPS, but he knows that if he's number one, it's gonna be easier for everyone. I don't care about the damage, but I do like keeping people alive, and I like keeping the damage alive because I like seeing like my brother or Ryan, for example. I like having them do really high numbers and then watching them try to like creep up on my threat, and then I like trying to just I like outdoing that because it's interesting to me. It's like, well, how can I make threat without doing damage? And the concept is fun. Plus, I really, being a tank is like being overpowered in like a solo RPG. You know, you just never die, and I like that. It gives me that overpowered feeling of just you're unkillable.
And then you end up pushing yourself to that level, looking for what could kill you,
Yeah,
and hope then the healer can keep up.
100%. Yeah, no, there's definitely like there's a peak, and once you hit that peak, you're like, oh shit, okay, nope, we're sliding down the peak real quick now. It's I'm getting hurt, and I'm getting hurt, and I'm dead. Which is part of why I play like Demon Hunter now, because Demon Hunter has this like double jump, glide, fell jump, self heal. I'm kind of my own healer in some instances.
I think that's so interesting because from my aspect, I love being a healer. And I am dependent on everybody. Like, if I don't have a tank keeping things from getting to me because I generate threat, and if I don't have the DPS killing it,
Yeah.
I'm SOL. But I love being able to be back there making sure that you guys get to achieve that. But on the flip side, I also like that little bit of, it's true, you live because I let you live. There have been many
Little power
tanks. Yeah, there is, and there is a power trip to each of our classes. Come on now. But
100%.
if there's a player who sucks, I have been known to maybe
Not heal them,
not heal them.
You've been asked to not heal them.
including me.
No, you and my brother have never not been asked.
No, you
Well,
will always.
to be fair, there was a point where we needed you to live, but we also couldn't waste time healing you because the other tank was so bad. So it was really just like, I need you to like
live.
live, but I also need you to not be receiving heals. But those are rare occasions. But
Yeah, there was that one time in Kara, I remember, where everybody was
times
getting
in
kind
Kara.
of grumpy, and they're like, "Don't heal him," and you're like, "I can't not heal him."
But yeah, I mean, I think how we all met on WoW was because of some kind of. I want to be real, like, at the point whenever I joined WoW, and I think it happens with a lot of people, there is some sort of escape from realism. Like, when you're dealing with something in real life, getting on a game to just get your mind off of it is a pleasant escape. I mean, I don't know what you guys were doing at the time, if you wanted to let everybody know who's listening. But for me, I was just lost. I was supposed to be going to college. And at the time, they wanted me to become a nurse, but I didn't want to be, but it was just expected. So I was taking something that I didn't want to do. And so WoW was where I would escape to because I felt like I had control. What were you guys doing?
the last thing you said, in control, is going to sum up probably all three of our experiences perfectly. Because mine was, I was basically a 12-year-old, well, not basically, I was a 12-year-old kid who was raising my two siblings and the 30 dogs that my parents bought, with a dad who was never home for sometimes a month at a time, who would take the vehicle, the only vehicle, and then leave us without food for possibly weeks on end. So WoW was a great experience for me to log on, tank, and have control.
Mm-hmm.
It probably helped keep a lot of my sanity, because I was actually like in control of something. You know, I wasn't, nobody could take my control away because I was the leader of the group essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, I was newly diagnosed with diabetes and struggling with depression. So I didn't want to be here anymore. So I went to Azeroth to live. And it helped.
Mm-hmm. I think so many people concentrate on like gaming addiction and everything like that, but they don't realize that it actually has saved a lot of people too. For real.
It's definitely way easier to calculate the numbers of people who have lost their lives from gaming than it is to calculate the people who are still here because they found a game that gave them some form of stability. Yeah, purpose. Because it's like, you'd have, how many people are you going to interview, and how many people are going to be honest about that?
I mean, it doesn't sound all that great, kind of pathetic in some sense, that you feel a sense of
self-worth.
purpose and worth by being top DPS, top tank, top healer. But it's just simple things like that that keep you going till you do find some other purpose.
But honestly, what it comes down to is choosing your BS.
Yeah.
There are people out there who think that their worth is measured by them going to a job they hate religiously from 9 to 5 because that's what they need to believe in order to pay their bills. And then they get old and they die. You know? Like, we choose our BS. At least for me, whenever I game, I feel like I can escape to something, you know?
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more life to go back to doing that each time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look forward to coming home to go to those raids or adventures and whatever game even. It's not even necessarily World of Warcraft, but whether it's a first-person shooter you just enjoy or an adventure game, an open world sandbox, whatever it might be.
That's exactly what I was gonna say though. Like, it doesn't have to be WoW, you know. It could be any type of game, just whatever. You know, it doesn't have to be games. You know, some people it's animals, or sometimes it's just painting your house, maybe just fixing your house up. You know, shit like that just causes people to have just a little bit more life to keep going. They're like, I don't want to go back to work tomorrow, but it's going to give me money to keep this hobby up.
Yep.
And if that's enough for them, that's great.
But yeah, I mean, for me, we've spoken. Like, we've all connected. We've been friends for, I think it's going to be our 20th year. You mentioned that, right?
Yeah, we were talking about, it's 2004, 2005. So it's like 1920, yeah, something like that.
And I think what's great is we're pretty cool ass adults, but we've had pretty fucking traumatic childhoods. And I think that love, our imagination, our escape into other realms, whether it be reading fantasy books or playing Metal Gear Solid or Final Fantasy, all of this made us to where we are today. We're alive because of our imagination and our ability to just escape to these great games. But yeah, we haven't had the best childhoods. We all have something. And the fact that we bonded through trauma leads us to our name of Trauma Cupcakes. And you said it beautifully one time whenever somebody had asked you one time. I think it was Sam.
Oh, yeah. I have a friend who asked, why Trauma Cupcakes? And it was like, well, everybody has trauma in some form, and everybody loves cupcakes. And cupcakes come in different flavors and sometimes sizes, and trauma comes in different sizes and flavors. And so just, combine the two. You got Trauma Cupcakes.
Because
and I mean, it fits pretty well.
Yeah, I think that's that's a coping mechanism right there. You have to see the little bit of humor and light when you're dealing with the dark stuff. Because, like, a lot of people just try to ignore it, right? They want to just do that positive affirmation and everything like that, but they don't want to heal from the dark side. And I think you've got to embrace that part of you, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm still kind of coming to terms with accepting a lot of the problems that I've grown up with or who I am now, and it's it definitely doesn't make it easy on me or my wife or the kids, because you just have like flare-ups sort of, where it's like you don't want to act like this, you don't want to think like this, but it's just, it happens and it sucks. And it's like, it's why I'm going to a doctor for all this stuff.
That's great.
But yeah, especially because it's the first time we're going to a doctor since I was like 12 years old. Because when you have parents, you're like, I have siblings, right? Like, I have a brother who's really, really messed up, and I have a sister who's bipolar, I think, something. She takes meds. I'm not exactly sure. And then I have a youngest brother who just got diagnosed as well, and he's on some medication now and stuff. But when you're the oldest child as a kid, I was often just told, oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're just jealous. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm really not. I see what they're going through. I'm not jealous of that. But unfortunately, you think like that, and stuff like that messes with your head long term, because you're just like, oh, am I sick? No, I'm fine. I just need to drink orange juice, and then you can't get out of bed for a week.
I'm curious though. So when you have a problem, do you go off on your own to try and solve it?
Yeah. Basically, I was in like a really bad depressive state last week, and so I just put my boots on, put my thermals on, and went out for a walk in the pouring rain for 2 hours. Came back completely cold, drenched, and wet. And my wife was just like, "Hey, what, you okay there?" I'm like, "Yeah, yep, I'm okay now. I just needed to not be around anything for 2 hours because I don't know how to handle it." And it's just, it's not great, but it's sometimes you just have a hard time vocalizing what you're feeling or what to do in this situation. Especially if it's small things that'll just cause you to flare up and just like rage out. Like, I don't want to yell at people I don't want to yell at or don't deserve it. But I don't, I'm sure that has something to do with like ADHD, autism, or just overall trauma.
But none of us are like licensed professionals, but I can guarantee you the reason why you did that is because whenever you were growing up, that's what you had to do as the eldest. You had to solve shit on your own. Having somebody tell you, no, you're just jealous, meant that you had to solve your own problems and probably your siblings' problems on your own.
Oh, yeah. It was very much just solve, why is my brother not eating today? Solve it. Why is my sister acting like a dog all the time? Because it's some form of escapism for her as a kid. I don't know. But yeah, no, that was a lot of just trying to solve issues. That's probably why I'm so bad at listening to problems and instead of solving them now. Like, I just can't. like my daughter has problems at school, and I'm just like, let's solve them, and she's like, well, no, I just want to talk. And I'm like, okay,
that's not my strong suit.
Yeah, I'm gonna bite my tongue now and just let you go on. So solve all these issues, and then in 20 minutes when you're done, I'm gonna go fucking punch something. It's just not. You just can't. I don't know. Personally, I can't listen. I want to fix things.
How about for you? Like, what do you feel like,
Yeah, I like to try and escape. I will tinker with things. Try and dive into one of my 10,000 hobbies. Or just dive into the game and try and let my background brain deal with it. Sometimes my best meditative recovery is just mowing down mobs in a game for an hour. I mean, I don't need anything from them. They just gotta die.
Thank goodness for games. And I mean, just so the viewers know, Ryan and I met on World of Warcraft, and we ended up getting married. And recently, we bonded through, like you told me about it, how it was growing up by yourself and everything like that. And how recently, do you want to talk about what you finally were able to get diagnosed, or you want to leave that on the back burner?
Oh, well, some of the things I dealt with as a kid growing up, I knew I was different than most, and I did not like to really communicate much, have full conversations. I would usually only have maybe one friend at most, and I didn't really think too much into it, but I did notice that kids at school or even just other people around me would either not see me at all or push me to the back corner in some way or another, to where I just felt isolated in a lot of times, which probably led to my depression as I went through the teenage years. And then now, with being diagnosed autistic, it just all makes sense. Now, it doesn't help any of the trauma I obtained through growing up as an autistic kid and not knowing, you know, but it does validate how I feel or felt with everything that's gone on. And then knowing my limitations in the different categories, not only through experience of growing up, but just knowing what my mindset is going to be as an autistic, I don't push myself to try and break through any barriers that I clearly haven't gone through in 40 years. You know, it's not going to happen, so I'm not going to try to make it happen. You know, just to now enjoy what I have and work with it.
And it's amazing because I think Ryan has never really been vocal, and sometimes I want to hear feedback through, like, if I ask something like just a simple, like, real life question, there would be silence. But if it was something abstract, like if we were talking about how could space travel theoretically work, and do we have the technology to do that, or what would be the best design, Ryan would just go off.
You
but
have,
if
like,
it was
6 free
something
hours.
like, what do you think we should have for dinner, or something like that, it was so much more complicated.
Yeah.
To the point where I wouldn't say it was an issue, but there was one time I'm like, I just want to talk to you about real life stuff, and then Ryan, you kind of had kind of like a breakdown, and you're like, I don't know how.
Yeah,
And that tipped me off. And I really think most relationships would really degrade at that point, but us bonding through gaming and being friends for so long, I knew there was something else.
Yeah, as kind of an example, if you ask me what would I like for dinner, I don't just go, I feel like having this. I go through a checklist of everything that I've ever eaten. What was the last thing I ate, all the way to something I haven't eaten for months or years. What is the common things you make? What was the last few things you've made in the last few weeks? What do I think the kids might like? What do you like? And then I think about, well, what could my body want? So after I've calculated all of these choices, it'll come down to usually 5 or 6 things. And then I have to decide which one I want more. And then it comes down to 2 or 3 things. And I have to fight. Because then it's like, which are the ones that the family's going to want? Which is best for leftovers? Which is a single meal? Do we have the ingredients? So I may not respond for 4 or 5 minutes or longer sometimes. But those are the calculations I'm going through in my head. And it is sometimes very stressful if you're wanting an answer right now. And I can't. There's no way I can do it. I got to do the math.
That's why I just do prime rib if it comes down to it.
And it's even like getting dressed for something. What are you going to wear? It's like, I'm going to wear what I always wear because that's what I know I can wear. And occasionally I'll wear something dressier if need be. But it still has to fit in that calculation. If I can keep my calculations small, it happens a lot quicker. And that's just the thing I've always struggled with.
How about you, John? Like, have you had any...
Oh, I've been waiting. I can't wait because I'm going to take this recording, and when I go to the doctor in May and they go, well, what do you think is wrong with you? I'm going to go, everything he just said is exactly what I am doing at all times. Especially the food thing. When Leanne comes, hey, what do you want for dinner? Food. Well, what do you want? No. Don't what do you want? We're going to be here for an hour. Food. Just food. You pick it. If you want me to make it, just let me know. Otherwise, we're going to have, like, one of the 6 predetermined meals that I can do at any given time. And it's the same thing with clothes. I'm going to wear my blue sneakers with my dark gray pants, with my green belt, with my blue or gray shirt. And that is what you're going to get. forever until I have to replace those or I find something that becomes the new norm.
Yeah.
And there is no variation to that. Unless Leanne goes, hey, we're going somewhere nice, you gotta dress nice, I go, awesome, I have a specific nice outfit. Or it's, hey, it's cold outside, or it's raining, or it's snowing. Sweet, I have specific clothes for that. So this is, yeah, no, that everything you just said is exactly how I feel all the time as well. Everything has to be calculated, and I cannot give you standardized answers. It's worse when you get someone who's like, would you love me if I was still a worm? Fuck no, you'd be a worm. I'd use you for fishing. That makes logical sense.
I'd love you if you caught me a fish. Get in the water.
Yeah, like it's shit like that. You're gonna waste so much time arguing over. But yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like if Leanne came in and was just like, "What do you want for dinner? Food. Hey, do you think we could build Gundams? I have 74 links to talk to you about.
Yeah.
I hope you are ready. We have been working on this for decades." It's then it would divulge into, it turns into a train wreck conversation because it goes from Gundams to cybernetics, exoskeletons, stuff like that. So it's, or if like someone talks to me about platinums, you're gonna, Metal Gear, you're gonna get all of the spectrum. But hey, do you think we should buy new shoelaces? Doesn't sound very dopamine and tricey.
Are mine broken? Did you cut my shoelaces?
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
Okay, no, we don't need new shoelaces.
Yep, exactly. It's stuff like that, Hey, do you think we should replace this toothbrush? I don't know. What's wrong with it? Do you not like the color? Do you not like the price? I need all the information available. And that's an issue I fight with her or the kids or myself daily, where it's just, unless you're going to ask me a question and then give me like 5 minutes of all of the information, you're not getting an answer very quick, bud. And it's annoying. It gets real tiring.
Yeah.
Mentally tiring. Because you're just like, fuck, I was, like, there's this thing with like ADHD, where it's like hyper-focusing, where you're like, you're in the zone. And then as soon as something like interrupts you from that zone, you can like burst at that person. Mm-hmm. That happens a lot for me. Because I can't just snap to another thing. And my wife is very like train wreck conversation. She'll, hey, I like these flowers. Hey, did you see this about the roof? I'm like, what do you fucking, okay, now I'm annoyed. Now I have to leave the conversation. Hey, where are you going? Nope, gotta go in my office and lock the door and wait 5 minutes, and then we can continue having the original conversation.
Yeah. I get things like momentum. If I'm into something and I'm actually into it, where I'm really enjoying it, then I gotta keep going. Because if I stop and go, I'll have an hour's rest and get back into it, it'll just suddenly flip, and I won't want to do it again for a month.
Yep.
And I could have been making awesome progress, whether it was a drawing, a story, something. And if I have to stop for sometimes even 5 minutes, I lose all momentum, and it just completely reverses.
Mm-hmm. I have the perfect example of this. I got a Gundam 3 birthdays ago from the kids. I built everything but the legs, because the legs to me are, I don't like building the legs, so it's just like I don't know if it's low dopamine moment or whatever. Yeah. It's now 4 years later, the legs still aren't done. And they're probably not going to get done until I have some weird burst of energy day where it's just like, let's do it. Or if my wife buys me like a Gundam stand, I'll do it then, because now I'm like, oh shit, I have a thing. There's a reason. Things like that are, yeah. Can't wait for that doctor.
Are you going to have him look into all, like, is he going to try and see all types of diagnoses that can be there? Like,
this is the first time going since I was 12. So it's probably going to be more of a meet and greet, a physical, and then, like, why are you going to the doctor after, like, 20 years? Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be like, I kind of feel like I'm losing my mind here.
You open your 4-foot-long scroll. And then
basically,
give you the options.
Like I said, I just show him this podcast.
Yeah, it's called Trauma Cupcakes, dude.
Yeah, it's like you are in for it now, my friend. I am so sorry. Yeah, it's a lot though. Like Ryan was saying, like it's tiring to just think the way that you think all the time, or have to constantly just disengage from a conversation that you were enjoying, and then like the other person just worded something that you're like, I can't I can't deal with that right now. I don't know how to deal with that. I'm just gonna get angry. That's kind of my, like, I don't know if it's for you, Ryan, but for mine, my default is just like, as soon as something is like too far over for like the gauge or whatever, it's just anger for me. I just snap and I'm like, I'm just then irritated, and then it just builds up to worse, and I just have to leave.
Well,
The conversation got John into the momentum.
Okay, everything he's saying is exactly how I feel all the time.
Yeah.
Except I haven't really talked about it or explained it to somebody.
Well, sometimes when somebody asks, you don't think about that.
Yeah.
You know, like when someone says, okay, what's wrong with you? You're like, nothing's wrong with me. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yep.
And then later on down the line, you're like, how come I can't do this? I just feel like I can't, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, shit, that's what I should have told the doctor.
That's exactly why I refuse to go to any form of important thing without Leanne. She's basically like my memory for things. Because when I get there, I say all this now, right? Like, I need to tell doctors. I get there, and the anxiety is just like, shut up, you're a loser. Don't you ever say any of this out loud. And it's like, okay, you'll just be quiet now. Don't say anything. You'll fix this on your own. And then I get home, and Leanne's like, why didn't you say anything? And I'm like, I don't know. No idea. I shut down. This is me and every, like, I think a great example is I've been trying to go to the doctor for 6 years. And my anxiety has stopped it. And now it's basically taken me 6 years to just come to terms with it, and now I'm good.
mm-hmm.
Which is a horrible way to live.
I don't know what it is. Is it a thing? Because I get anxiety too thinking about going to the doctor. And not about actually what he'll say, but the whole process.
It's like a
it's
performance anxiety.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like if I have to fill out anything,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. I can't fill out things. I hate writing. I hate giving information. I don't. If you walk up to me and you're like, "Hey, I'm your doctor. What's your name?" Sure, I'm John. How you doing? But the moment they're like, "Fill this out," I'm like, "I'm gonna bludgeon you to death with this."
Yeah.
And it's
I've messed up some of the paperwork when I just had to put my name and address and stuff, and I'm like, shit, what is this? What do I put here?
And that's
Oh,
why
It says address. Do they mean my current address or?
when all addresses. No, I have just like I'll put the J for my name, and I'm like, nope, don't like how that looks. Give me a new paper. And then of course Leanne's like, no, it's fine. Just write the rest of your name. And I'm like, no, it's gone. We might as well just burn the building down.
I
What do you
fill out
want?
the
What?
forms. I fill
Yeah.
out the forms for Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do it. Like the eye surgery thing, right? Like there was so much paperwork for that, and they were just like, I was so overwhelmed all the time. I was taking like 5
Can I do the
edibles.
paperwork after my eye surgery?
Yeah. After you give me the drugs to like loosen me up, I can do anything you want. But oh my god, yeah, no, the stress for all that stuff, I just can't do it.
Have you guys noticed any triggers, like what gets you at that downward spiral? Because part of it, whenever I went to therapy, one of the things that my therapist said is identifying the triggers, like the things that can set you down that path.
For me, a lot of the times is noise and interruptions. Like if I'm
Yes.
finally able to do something I'm enjoying to do, and I'm having to pick up, throw up, wipe a kid's butt, get something to eat, get them fed, dog has to go out, power trips. I'm like, there's so many interruptions that I just get angry at that point. I'm like, just stop or I'm leaving. But it doesn't. It's a family thing that happens pretty well every day for some reason.
Yeah.
But when you're in that mode trying to get your dopamine fix, or just to try and break even after stress of work or whatever it might be, having that stuff constantly happen, you're just like, why am I not getting a break?
That noise is the number one thing for me. If it gets too noisy, and that's why I live on noise canceling headphones. I have to have them to keep sane. Even if it muffles the kids' voices a little bit, because our son has that high-pitched voice, and it just pierces through the air. So having noise canceling headphones have been a gift from heaven. And that's how you stop going down that path. How about you, John? Do you have...
I'm with you on the headphones. When Shyla was younger, I've nicknamed her the Banshee. I still call her the Banshee, but it started when she was younger because it was just like, I mean, it was a banshee. It was shrieking in your ears.
Yeah.
I'm almost to the point with headphones. I don't really need the soundproofing anymore, but I just feel less anxious with them on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm almost want just to buy a pair that don't even do anything. Just put them in the car.
It's like you and your hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it like...
I remember that phase, though, because there'd be times we'd be playing and we just hear the squealing in the background.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Dude, she was so fucking screamy. It was insane. Now it's less squealing and more like, hey, remember how you showed me how to take down my friend if they touched me? Yeah, I tripped that kid and took him down and pinned his arm behind his back. And I'm like, okay, it's escalated. Yeah, it's escalated, but good job. Are we in trouble? No one saw. Awesome. But yeah, no, it's definitely with the headphones. I feel that very much. What I do is I'll tell everybody, like, hey, I'm gonna go sit down. You get 3 chances to get me up, and once I'm down, you have to wait like an hour at least before you can get me. And that I think that works because it's like I've tried to trying to teach everybody, like, hey, you can't keep bugging me here. It's gonna snap me, and it's like not on purpose, but I can't be getting up and down every 5 seconds. It's gotten better as the kids got older, or like as Leanne is just not triggered as much. I do have weird ones where like I'll have a conversation with like the kids or Leanne, and then they just don't respond, and I can't handle that. Like I just can't handle the conversation not like just abrupt if they didn't finish it, right? And so I would just be like, all right, good talk, and then I walk away, and they kind of take it as like this derogatory thing where it's like an insult, and I'm like, no, it's just my way to be like, conversation's done, so I can leave. Otherwise I'll stand there waiting for an answer.
Yeah.
That just, I don't know, it feels weird. Like I can tell it's weird, but I have to do it.
How about with other sensory? Like if, like a couple Christmases ago, we had a lot of sparkly glitter in the Christmas tree. And it was getting tracked around the house all the time. So no matter where you went, there'd be little light sparkles all over the floor everywhere. And it was driving me nuts because I could not... I could see every single sparkle. So I was vacuuming like twice a day, every day.
You would get irate.
So because we just had Christmas, right? We had the tinsel around the railing, and the tinsel was falling off onto the stairs. And I was vacuuming 3, 4, 5 times a day, and it got to the point where I was like, this is ridiculous. So I would just walk down the stairs with my eyes closed.
Oh yeah. It's either I'm gonna make it and not see it, or I'm gonna end it right now.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we've had moments like that where like Leanne came in my office and like she put up some like a decoration, and I was just like, I'd rip it down because I was like, I can't. Nope, you have altered like my space, and that's can't do that. But audio, like you were saying, audio, that's a great one. Visuals, smells for me are insane. I get intense migraines.
Yep.
And it stresses me out. Like air fresheners and stuff. Like it has to be a specific smell. Like I don't know what the fuck it. Like some laundry or something, right? Like those ones are fine, but anything that's over like a 1 on the smell meter to me is just nope. I'm overwhelmed now. This is too much for me. I can't handle this, and I will just like rip all of them out of the sockets, start throwing them away, and then that turns into an argument, and it's like fuck.
Yeah, having a good, like a strong sense of smell is good for stuff like cooking or baking, but when it comes to the point where the dog's on the other side of the room and he yawns and you're like, what's that smell? And everybody's like, what smell? And you're like, the dog, he yawned.
Yep.
You kick him outside. It's like,
dude,
it
I
gets
know exactly that feeling.
Troublesome. I can't stand breeze on my skin. I have all the fans in the car pointing away from me. I don't like the wind on my skin anywhere in the house.
Yep. Like obviously I've got like some form of like tinnitus, So we have fans on
Yeah.
in the room so I can sleep. But if they're touching me, I'm just like, fucking, what the? Who moved the fans? Why are the fans moved? Just
Blow
can't sleep.
near, but not on.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, just enough to drown out the ringing in my ear, but like it can blow the sheets, but not my skin.
Yeah.
See, speaking about that, about skin, is for me is necklines, things that cling to my skin.
Yes.
Like if a T-shirt has that, it's ribbed, but it's like
You mean
sawing your
like
neck.
every shirt is a turtleneck?
Yeah,
See, I need all of my shirts to be V-necks
yeah.
because, like, I don't, I just have a thicker neck, and I like working out, and my neck just it gets worse. And so anything that feels like it's choking me, I'm just like, nope, I will rip that shirt apart, or we will buy V-necks.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't buy a lot of shirts. Or all of my shirts are basically the same type.
I just cut that little thing around the neck. I end up
The waistband.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, if I wanted a waistband, I'd buy pants. Why are you putting it on my neck? Yeah, I'm right there with you. I can't have the neck crap. Drives me up a wall. However, like, what are they called? Hoodies. They don't have the neck thing, but they're not as like low as like a V-neck. But I can do that.
Yeah.
I realized that because hoodies are good. They you feel like you're in a cocoon, but I still have to cut the neck part because I just have a big ass head. So
Well, you
I
have hair too, a lot.
yeah, I have a lot of hair. Like so, I can,
See, I bought my wife like a onesie thing, like I don't know what you call it, not a onesie, but it's like a giant hoodie, right? But it's like a robe. Mm-hmm. And she likes the actual thing, but the hoodie, because of all her hair, and it turns into a mess. Mm-hmm. So, but she gave it back to me, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. My anxiety, I feel so good.
oh, it's like Ryan and his weighted blanket. I can't
Yes,
do
I
the weighted.
want one.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I can't do it. I feel like I'm in a coffin. The weight on me, but that's also me because I'm not.
Yeah, isn't it great?
No.
Yeah, I would love that.
That's what I was saying. Like, I think for me to get perfect night's sleep, I need to sleep in a deprivation chamber.
No.
You know,
Sounds
like
the dream.
Like what?
No.
What was it on?
No.
The Accountant.
Yeah. Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember watching the movie because Leanne showed it to me, and I was like, this is what I want.
Was it The Accountant? Or was it Paycheck?
I think it was The Accountant. That's the one.
Anyway, where you're sleeping in
Batman.
the sealed coffin filled with water.
Yeah.
So there's no
Yeah, that sounds
sound,
awesome.
no light.
No, the
It's like
accountant. The accountant is with Ben Affleck, where he starts beating
Well,
himself.
Paycheck was also with Ben Affleck, but one
Oh,
of
was
them
it
had him with
really?
the deprivation chamber. I can't remember which one.
Oh, okay. So one of the Ben Affleck movies
Yeah.
where he's doing something to himself.
They were both good.
I cannot. No.
It's like the I want to take a trip out to Microsoft because they have that soundproof room where you can hear your own heartbeat. There's no sound in there. I want to
don't
go
need that.
there.
I can hear it all the time already.
I hear
I'd
that
love to try it.
there was somebody. If you read about it, it was where there's no sound, and they say no one was able to survive in it for longer
Yeah,
than
that's
12
the
minutes.
Microsoft room. I was-
Okay,
Yeah.
because people
Yeah.
go crazy.
Yeah, they say they go crazy, and I was like, I'd love to try that.
Yeah.
My question too here for you, like Ryan, because like for me, my office, right? I had my desk in the far right corner, and the door was to my left, and I had to completely rechange the room so the door is now to my right, so I can see it in my peripheral. Is that just me? Just me being weird? I have
Yeah.
issues with like the door behind, not knowing where like exits are, people behind me, stuff like that.
No, I could see that. It's more, I guess, a preference.
A trust thing too.
Yeah, it would be like a trust with preference. Like you want it on your right side so you can see it. I don't really like the door behind me either. We're kind of like right in the middle of our living room.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the living room is behind us.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
See, my anxiety
it's
would
open.
be 100% right there. Because that's what we were doing when we lived in the apartment. I was basically in our living room and the kitchen because it was all one room, and I was just constantly like overstimulated and anxiety at max. But then I moved it into the bedroom, and it was still like it got better, but the door was directly behind me, which
Yeah.
was also causing issues. So it was a lose-lose.
We had our computer set up in one of the rooms that was like that way back, and it just never felt quite right. And then eventually we just moved out here to the living room, and it's been good since.
It's always interesting trying to find that like happy medium where like your brain is happy and it like physically works.
Yeah. I think a lot of our conditions contribute to the trauma we had growing up. Whether our parents thought we were strange and didn't want to deal with it, or thought it was normal and didn't address it, or even just interacting with everybody along our route to become an adult, and even as an adult. It a lot of it contributes.
I think that's why, if we think about how we are as parents now, I heard somebody say that we are what we needed when we're growing up, and that's why I'm so adamant about being so active in our kids' life, like attending even the little things that people don't think are a big deal, because it is a big deal. I remember needing that, like being forgotten to be picked up from school and waiting there, and the teacher saying, "Where are your parents?" Or, you know, being the head violinist. I did all of that I could to be the concert mistress, and then not having my parents attend. And luckily, at the time, I had my boyfriend at the time. Parents attended, so they got to see that. So I think I leaned on them more for that, right? It might have been like I was with the guy because of his parents. His parents would always show up for all my stuff, but needing that support and recognition. And that's why I think, I mean, I hear stories about you, John, and you'll play around and joke around, but ultimately you're there for your kids. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I give them a lot of shit, and I will shit talk them to the high heaven because they'll shit talk me. But I actually, when the kids were younger, I didn't go to their stuff because it was really, really overwhelming for me to go to the schools. And then one day, Shiloh went, "Hey, are you gonna come?" And I went, "Yeah." And then I realized I just basically made a promise, and I'm not gonna lie to her because my parents lied to me. So I started going. I go to all of it now. I go to parent-teacher conferences. I go to all the stuff. I hate it. I hate the people. But
You just give
when I
everybody
go
the
in,
fuck off face.
Dude, I got to the point where I go places now, and Leanna go, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Nothing." She, "Your face, you look pissed." I'm like, "No, this is just my outside face. Like, I have no concern. I can't. I just have to block everything out, and it just looks pissed off." But yeah, I mean, you start going to that stuff, and the first time I went, and she was like over the fucking moon, and she like ran down, and I got introduced to like 12 kids. She was like, this best friend and this best friend. And I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta go to all this stuff. So, but it helped too, because she has ADHD. And so I feel like me and her kind of connect a little bit better than like me and Vincent. But he connects really well with Leanne. So I think it's good to just have at least one parent that you're like connected to, that you that probably understands you a little bit better. Because like he's a nerd, so me and him get along on that level. But he's probably going to be a successful person, and I have issues going outside, so we're very different, but still he's still a nerd. And Shiloh's more like me, where she's she likes drawing and building and shit like that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How about
Also, I was just gonna say, I was thinking about the door thing, and then Ryan mentioned in the last sentence, I'm like, it triggered me for trauma, and I was like, I probably don't like doors behind me, because I remember my dad used to come in and just grab me by the back of the neck, so that's probably why I don't like things behind me.
Yeah.
That just kind of came out of nowhere.
See? But in a way, that's how we figured out to mod our life to make it functional.
Yep.
Right?
You figure out all
Everybody
the
is a
little-
result of their experiences growing up. So if there's something you don't like, and you can change it, then it's up to you to change it.
It's probably why I don't like having pets. When you grow up with like 30 plus dogs, you don't like having pets. You don't want to take care of them. You don't have the emotional. I don't have the emotional capacity anymore to care for an animal.
That is rough, though. I mean, 30 dogs. I cannot even.
I say dogs, huskies.
Oh.
Huskies. That's a lot of dog.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Was it just purely for, like,
Breeding
pet?
and then selling. They weren't to me and my brother and my sister, they were pets, and I'm sure to my mom to some extent they were pets, but I always, me and her used to argue a lot that I felt like she always saw them as more of cash cows.
Mm-hmm.
So, that equaled up into a bunch of problems as a kid, but yeah, no, they were, essentially just, it was a fancy puppy mill. Mm-hmm. Is how I felt. They weren't in cages, they weren't stacked sky high, they all had their own areas, and they were perfectly healthy and fine, but you can, as a kid, you just want to come home from school and play WoW or Metal Gear, and then when you gotta carry 50-pound bags of dog food outside to feed 3 dogs, you got 30 dogs, you're buying 16 packs of 50-pound dog food, and then you're like, whew, I'm tired. Well, that's my day, I'm going to bed. Better repeat all this in 2 days. That sucks.
God, that sucks. And then go.
I was gonna say, and then especially when you have someone who isn't cooking and your 12-year-old is cooking dinners.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was talking to a friend of mine about foods that you can't eat from your childhood, and I don't know if you guys have this, but mine's bagged chicken, Tyson's bagged chicken. Can't eat it. I'll vomit. It's just all we ate for months, and I hate it. I hate bagged foods.
So what? Can you say it without dry heaving on the?
It's just Tyson's bagged chicken. It's just chicken strips in a bag that you would throw in the oven and cook it. It had no flavor because we didn't own seasoning, and it just was disgusting. Because you can eat it once and you're like, sure, that's fine. And then 2 days you're like, okay, whatever. And then 3 days you're like, want something new, and then a month flies by and you're like, I've eaten nothing but chicken all month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
and not even the whole chicken, it's just the meat part.
Yeah. It's just crappy
no nutrition
breading.
in it.
Nope, nothing, just crappy breading. Sometimes we'd have ketchup, which I hate ketchup now. But yeah, no, that shit was bad.
And I think for Ryan, and from what I gather, the reason why you excel at your rogue so much is because when you were growing up, you were saying that underestimation was always when I first met Ryan, he never thought he could do anything, and I'm like, okay, he does know he's smart, right? But I don't think you honestly knew that.
No, I always figured everybody was smarter than I was.
That's
more
my
capable.
life.
So I didn't really try to achieve much. And I guess that's why I tried to do the best I could with DPS in World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a lot easier to achieve that than anything else in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had an issue like that in school where a teacher told me I was too stupid to learn math. And so they stopped teaching me. They wouldn't answer my questions, they wouldn't give me homework, just didn't engage with me anymore. And to this day, believe it or not, still really bad at math.
Wow.
But when you're told as a kid, you're like, hey, you're just too stupid to learn this, and we're not going to continue assisting you in that, what are you going to do? I didn't know what to do. On the flip side, when I was in elementary school, I had a teacher, Mr. Brown, love that guy. He basically taught me how to read. He's the whole reason I loved reading. Because he saw a nerdy kid and went, hey, have you read this? And he gave me a Sailor Moon manga. And I was like, no, I have no idea what this is. And I read it, and it was amazing. He helped me understand it all, and it was great. And then he gave me Lord of the Rings. And Lord of the Rings has some bigger words when you're in 3rd grade.
Sailor Moon to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I know, right? He was a great teacher though, because he gave me things that he knew that were interesting to who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was this is awesome, and that's what taught me to read. So if I had somebody who maybe did that with math, maybe I'd be good at math. But, you know, that's two sides of a coin, you know?
You know what? It comes down to that. And if any of you listeners out there are teachers, you make a big difference either way. But because I had a teacher too who believed in me, and I wouldn't have finished high school without him.
I think that's a great point. Does you make a difference? Because I'm 31. That happened when I was like 12 or maybe 10 or whatever, right? I remember both of those teachers. The one I loved, Mr. Brown, and the one I hate, Mrs. Gates. I remember both of them. Like and I remember them for two totally different reasons, you know. But I think that goes to show that like being really great to a kid can affect that kid forever, and then being horrible to a kid can affect that kid forever. So yay, the American school system.
So what are you guys doing right now to kind of... I know you said you're going to the doctor. And let me say this, too. The thing with the doctor, my therapist helped me forgive the fact that, like, my mother in particular is functioning from a place of trauma herself. Like, trauma is, like, passed down through generations. So I don't blame her, but I know the way she was because she had to do the same thing. And that's why I'm stopping it with my kids. And I know you're going to the doctor, but so what are you guys doing now? What little tips do you have to try and make things a little bit more tolerable through the day?
Patience. I feel like they're going to be super generic answers, but it's like just having patience with yourself and others can like, that's something I've had to learn, is just patience. And just because you're not doing something that society deems, I don't know, important, or they might deem lazy, it doesn't mean that you're bad for doing it. Like gaming. It's like well, a great example is I started Twitch streaming in 2015, 14, and I just got affiliate last year. Right? Yeah. And that's just like, that's been my goal. But I'm very excited about it. But it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure a lot of people would be like, we just wasted like 7 years doing nothing. I'm like, maybe to you. But if I look at it like that, it's going to just depress me. So I have to look at it in a positive way, because it is positive. My friends supported me. My wife supported me. It's a good thing. But patience. Patience helps a lot.
How about you, sweetie?
Yeah, patience is very important. Mine kind of goes with that, is just never give up. Even if you feel like you've hit rock bottom. I know it's kind of cliche to say it, but you can still move forward. It's never the end. It's just another stepping stone along the way. And it might be rough, and you might be doing it barefoot, and it might be scorching hot from the summer heat, but you just got to see where you want to go, and keep walking the path. And if you have a hobby you really enjoy, don't just think it's just some silly hobby that amounts to nothing. Try your best to go as far as you can with it, and that includes, like, if you're painting miniatures, paint a whole bunch and try and sell them. If you're doing crafts like crocheting or knitting, cross stitch, the stuff that people don't think are in anymore, make some, try and sell it, because you never know. You might hit a market that nobody really figured would be there, and you could be that head again for a market that nobody would have thought would have picked up again. Maybe your ideas are different than everybody else. A lot of people figure that what I'm doing is just what everybody else does, but it's not really true. A lot of people have your own unique perspective on a thing, a new idea, a new way of doing things, or even just doing something that's already been done but with a new flair or way of doing it. So just push forward and go with it, because you never know, you might end up doing more than you ever thought you could.
For me, I think I want to tell everybody there that that saying where they're like, before you could love somebody, you have to love yourself. That's bullshit. Because honestly, the reason why I'm still here, and I'm not gonna, is because I had people who loved me whenever I didn't love myself. Because I think that's kind of selfish when they tell people that you're not worthy of love if you can't love yourself. If you have those people in your life that are willing to be your friends, who are gaming with you, where people are like, they're not real life people. There have been many times on WoW whenever I was incapable of loving myself, but I could go on there and it could be like just questing or doing something stupid with them, trying not to get banned on games. But because they gave me those memories, I could love myself because I knew I had people there who would be there for me when I didn't have enough strength to do so.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you think that that you need to love yourself first, that's to me that's not true. If you have your fellow nerds, your fellow geeks that you game with that are gonna have your back, you can work on it as you're learning to love yourself, as you're learning to heal and accept yourself. Lean on those people. That's what I think is the most important. So, yeah.
I think that actually, yeah, that's great, because that made me think of something that's a little depressing, but it's pretty good at the end. I remember playing World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King, and somewhere in the middle, you two started dating. And I remember one night, I bought a mount that fit 3 people, and I bought it specifically for you two. And you guys obviously were like doing real life stuff, so you logged off. And I was gonna off myself that night. Because I actually was like, oh, I just lost my friends. And then I met this lost idiot in Silvermoon. And she was like, hey, I don't know where the fuck I'm at or how to get out of this city. And I helped her. And then that night I took that mount and I got her every single flight path in the game. And now she's my wife.
Yeah.
But it was like, and at the time it was just like a really bad mental state, but it ended up being something good. You just, sometimes things aren't as bad as they seem, despite how your brain is telling you. Or just have people get lost. I don't know.
That is true though. Because like we've gone apart. There have been years that we haven't talked. Like real life stuff happens, whether it's on our side or your side. But then I think we got to the old age now where we're like, okay, shit's settled. And,
yeah, when the kids were infants and
we had little kids
fire.
And the house fire, yeah. And
yeah, but that PlayStation survived though.
Yeah, it did.
It did, yeah.
Oh, the
Barely.
controller though would just turn it on. And we had to put it in the
It was
garage.
possessed after that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So
That's always. You guys were a bit of a bit or like a joke for me and my friends for a while, because we started playing COD Infinite Warfare with Ryan,
Yeah.
and then your house burnt down, and so you played the game, logged off, and then your house burnt down, and we were like, man, if he didn't want to play with us,
Yeah.
he didn't have to burn the house. Like, he could have just said no.
That's some dedication.
Yeah. That was a bit we had for a long time.
So we're here to stay, and we hope you guys are too.
For sure.
Thank you for listening to Trauma Cupcakes. Bye.